All right, now to get into like the good stuff, because I just recorded a really long video of me just like rambling. I think I kind of like the card readings more too. No one told me they feel that way, but sometimes it feels like that's the stuff I have to get out of the way before I can get into the cards. Obviously, I wouldn't share anything that I don't feel is worth sharing, but yeah, so I talked about in the other video, one sec. Talked about a lot of things, but I talked about wanting to have a feast. I was like, I just ran downstairs and came back up. That's why I'm out of breath and why I need to go back to Pure Barre. But just intuitively feeling like I need to really eat a lot of food today all of a sudden, like, and just nourish myself. So why I'm sharing this again and reiterating this is because it's important right now just to not judge your body's urges. You're going through 111 when I look up. You're going through a lot more than you can consciously realize at all times energetically. And if you're feeling a certain way, you know, your body's speaking to you. Maybe something's wrong. Maybe it's okay if you've already slept for, you know, a whole 8 hours. Maybe you need a little nap in the afternoon. Maybe you do need more food than usual. And if you're somebody who just kind of like doesn't honor those nudges, those urges, but does things just like very logically, like, well, it's not dinner time, I can't eat. Like, says who? You know, you're your own governing body, and it's very important to meet the needs and the urges right now, because certain things are, again, with like spiritual upgrades and just treating yourself well and allowing yourself to do what you got to do. It's important. So, and again, for me, that has to do with like regulating myself and feeling sane and healthy. So it can look like being like, I thought I was going to work on this, but I'm not going to do it. I just have to go sit under a tree. It can be, like emergencies like that, where I'm like inclined to be like, I can't, my energy isn't aligned with this task. And now I'm seeing all sorts of memes about like, you know, tragic millennial girls being like, whatever it was some funny, it said, God, the women you put on earth to lounge around glens and rivers and like waterfalls are being forced to work. The girls you intended to be siren sea nymphs are out here having to buy groceries and go to work. Sigh. Okay. Let's get into it. Today's the first day of Mercury retrograde. It's also the first day of Virgo season. Virgos have energy that's kind of like perfectionist energy. I think a lot of Virgos, or people with strong Virgo placements in their charts, do like a high level of productivity. They're earth signs, they're grounded, they like cleanliness, and like any other sign, have shadow sides and positive sides. You know, we're all multifaceted, we're all both. So I think after next week, when Uranus joins the pack, there's going to be 6 planets in retrograde. This can be intense stuff. Energetically, it can create little weirdnesses. What do you mean by that? Maybe just like it would incur a need to double check the crossing of T's, the dotting of I's. When things don't go to plan right now, don't get all, you know, fussy about it. Try to go with the flow. Try to anticipate potential deviations from planned things, or things going as they were planned, so that you can not waste too much energy on your reaction to anything that doesn't go as intended right now, because that's just you and your precious commodities of your own, you know, emotions and mind. Don't burn any of that precious fuel on any of, you know, the mishaps right now, because they're kind of likely. I'm not saying tower energy, more so like inconvenience. So at this time, we could remind ourselves like any inconvenience is a request from the universe for me to engage more of my patience muscle, or to strengthen my compassion for this idiot. You know what I mean? Like, to just be a little bit more do the thing. A little bit more aligned with who we say we want to be and who we say we are. Because like I said before, well, this was the other video now at this point, but if you can meditate in a cool spa, like a cool, calm, meditative room with no other people, that's great. Now take it onto the streets, you know? Take that show on the road. Because life is not a cool, calm spa room. It's not. I simply can't wait to draw these cards. I have a very excited electric energy that has come into my space after I started the new video, because it's weird for me to record. This is going to be a long one too, I can already tell. It's weird for me to sit in one place and just record 2 back-to-back videos. Usually I take, I don't know, at least a day before I do another one. So there's something to that, and we're going to just kind of see what the excitement's all about in the energy. Don't fear the retrogrades. People fear the retrogrades, or that's just silly. Everything, sometimes we need to go back and review things, right? Everything serves its purpose, so don't worry. All right. Current energy. Seven of Wands and Six of Wands. Victory and success, persevering for that. Current energy. One more for the current. We're going to do 3 for every position. One more for current energy. Okay, well, 4 cards came out. That's interesting. I'm only going to take the Devil because I'm seeing all of these. Yeah, this is interesting. Devil, Ace of Swords, no, Hermit, Ace of Swords, Devil, King of Pentacles. I'm seeing this as a victory, 6 of Wands, victory, recognition, and success that we have had to put a fair amount of effort into, that has taken some solitude to accomplish, that has to do with a new way of expressing ourselves and relating to the world around us at large, which is about setting ourselves free from limitations and what I talked about yesterday as being like the entrapments of the 3D world, to have like dun, da, 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 like I did with the trumpet yesterday, more stability. So that's a great thing. That's all here in the current energy. Let's keep going. What's the energy? Actually, I'm going to go right to what we're not seeing. What are we not seeing? What's the hidden energy? Wait a minute. I don't even know what these are. Page of Wands, 4 of Cups, 3 of Pentacles, and Ace of Cups. Okay. What I'm getting off of these cards is that we haven't been able to see how certain aspects of this new beginning are going to be like manifesting around us. It's almost like doing the personal parts of our like self-improvement that's going to help this new chapter. It's almost like we've been feeling like the effort that we've been putting into our personal development is some like annoying like distraction that we have to tend to in order to have what we really want, but that's not the case. You know, investment in self is the whole thing, right? Because only then can you be of value to other people. You know, you have to be a good, well, and I've said this long ago, you could give everything to your family and completely neglect yourself, but it won't hold a candle to what you could offer if you filled up your own cup first, you know, met your own needs first. So I'm seeing this all in hidden energy as in like I have been talking in the readings for a while about, you know, this new start that has to do with creativity, but also emotional fulfillment. And it's almost like we've been in this like bored waiting state to get through all of the other more challenging personal things that we've been releasing. I'm sitting on the floor today. Usually I sit in a little stool, so I have kind of a weirder like access around my card display holder, but big cycles, right? So in this current energy, there's two major, it was 11:11 when I looked up, two major arcanas, and there's victory, and it has to do with the releasing. I am getting that, or like, you know, like finally having at least a better handle on our own self-regulation, so that more than declining, we're ascending. More than working against ourselves, we're moving forward. Nobody's perfect, but more than we're slipping backwards, are we progressing? So that's very important to acknowledge right now. Like, seriously, like I want to give everybody just a big hug. I do. And it's like, okay, all right, top of the deck and bottom of the deck for this. Clarify. What are we not seeing with these energies? Yeah, takes a long time. Ooh, that was weird for me to like show it, but it not be the right way. Takes a long time to transition and make these. Okay, so it was weeks ago. I don't like being so far down, so I'm gonna get on my little chair. Hang on. It worked for the other video, but not for this one. Okay, that's better. Yeah, so I was talking about basically like a car, an object in motion, stays in motion. A car, in order to go a different direction, wouldn't just be going in the other way, you know, unless it experienced a phenomenon of missing time and was just all of a sudden driving a completely other direction. But in usual happenings, that doesn't happen. So you have to put on the brakes. You have to apply, you know, the thought and the intention to like, I want to go somewhere else, and then maneuver the car to start tracking in that direction. It takes time to go on a journey. He's sitting because, you know, in some ways there's no rush. Like he can get up, but like the journey, like we're seeing the journey to the self, the journey to the moon, the journey to the unity consciousness that I've been speaking on a little bit already, around like integration of shadow self. That came up in my reading from yesterday. Shadow self, that card in the Psychic Tarot, and I'm going to be using cards from that deck as well during this reading. It's represented, it's the moon card, but it's represented as shadow because it has to do with, right, shadow self and like uncovering these aspects of things that are and have been holding us back. And I'm extending devil energies outside of any type of, you know, vices or bad habits or any of that, to be more about like the self too, and the behavior, the self-limiting behavior. Also those, you know, 3D real world things that are kind of designed and thrown around to keep people bogged down. And like, isn't it interesting? In certain metropolitan areas, there's like food deserts, but somehow they stick a liquor store there anyway. You can't have access to good, like organic food, but they will put a liquor store, you know? It's interesting. Okay, so this is a great energy. I said I would get top of the deck and bottom of the deck to clarify the hidden energies at this time. And the other one, it was the 8 of Cups. By the way, sometimes it's just the nature of channeling and like having a scattered brain. So if you know, you know, but I'll just say the completely wrong word. Like I'll hold up a thing and be like, here, this 8 of, you know, cups or whatever, and it'll be the eight of wands, or I'll say king instead of queen. Those little slips, they can be synchronicities for some people. Or, hang on. That's weird. Sorry. Or it's just a mistake. Okay, so if there's any type of synchronistic thing around anything I ever say where it's the completely wrong thing to say, but I don't catch it and I just keep la-di-da, talking because I didn't consciously realize it, whatever, I wish I had a headband for my bangs right now. Okay, but the other card was Justice. So what's great about this is that it's like what I said the other day around, like, we have a better... The energy from the other day, I was saying, like, there's a little bit less of a rift between how we think things should go in terms of the timing of them and how they're actually going. I think that's true, and I think it's because it's almost like we see this personal healing, whatever different changes we've made over the past 2 months. We almost see it as a prerequisite, but then it kind of weighs on us as like this have to or this to do or this like annoying part of the process where it's like, don't be very cautious of getting stuck in that energy, because then you're just vibrating at like I'm not where I want to be. This isn't how it's supposed to go. Let things take as much time as they need to. They often do take a different amount of time than you think they will. And so it just calls back a need to be like, more curious and innocent about your own process and why things are going the way they're going, It is a child who stamps their feet and says like, well, I wanted it now. And an adult, you have to kind of be the adult self that goes over to that version of yourself and be like, there. Maybe say a little more than that, but Okay, so now we're going to look at energy to embrace. No, actually, we're not. I'm going to get upcoming energy. I'm sorry, incoming energies here. All right, let's see. I like it so that people can see me shuffle. Oh shit. Heartbreak. 3 of Swords. We haven't seen that in a while. Incoming energy. 2 more cards, please. Clarify. Oh. Okay. Yeah. Incoming energy. Are you ready for this? I don't think you are. We got the 3 of Swords. Heartbreak. Loss. Grief. But we also got the 10 of Cups. Emotional fulfillment and ultimate stability, 2 loving people with a newborn baby. And then the other card, King of Cups. Okay. Yeah, what I'm getting off of all of this is that there's like some really painful endings taking place, but it is in the name of further stability. Perhaps people are going through things right now because Venus is still in retrograde, Mercury just entering retrograde. I mean, listen, like, I can tell you for a fact that people from the past tend to reach out during times of retrograde. They just do. Resurgences of nostalgia or longing or missing. It's almost like in retrogrades we're more inclined to look back on things that we liked better than we like things now. We're yearning for things or blah blah blah, and there's something around what's taking place in the energy leading up to the full moon around doing some final releasing and understanding that even if it feels like heartbreak, it's actually the gateway to, like, because we have to release. Sometimes there are relationships that aren't meant for you, and it's not because they're severely toxic or abusive or dysfunctional, but because it's simply not the right thing. And those are even harder sometimes to end or part ways with. And this could be friendship too. It doesn't have to be just a partner, love partnership. those are almost harder in some cases to end or move away from, because you almost wish you had a reason to be like, it's over, you know? And that's when unhealed and unhealthy people start to stir up trouble, because they almost want to then catch the other person to have a reason to, you know what I mean? So there can be a lot of sadness. Like, a person could choose to end something that they have a lot of love for, but even more than the love they have for it, they have a love of, you know, self, and there's still something that's not like honoring them, so they have to kind of move away from it. I'm just seeing that the heartbreak is here because there's a little bit of like a painful ending or separation that's occurring, but it's so that we can embody and inhabit a really healed space when it comes to giving and receiving love, and that's super important, and everybody deserves that. We all go through dysfunctional relationships. It's part of how you learn and grow. You know, the other people around you, they're mirrors to understand yourself through. So I like that energy. And with the Ace of Cups being here as well, and the Three of Pentacles too, okay? So this has to do with hidden energy, and I was talking about our own process around self-healing, or noticing things about ourselves or our lives or how we've been doing things that we want to release, you know, and that's been this process that I view as having started around the solstice this summer. But it's a bigger closeout of cycles that have been in our lives for years. And again, I think that this transition is so multifold. It's multifaceted, and then it has to do with others and projects and collaboration, but it also has to do with love, and it has to do with the self. Why would you expect it to be a quick journey? There's a lot at stake here. There's a lot involved here, and it is a good thing, you know? But there's this need, potentially with some people who may see this, to be a little bit more forgiving of yourself. Do not be too hard on yourself around like the timeline of your own process or what you're going through or what you're feeling. Also, don't try to hide the truth from yourself if there is a painful change you need to make. You can have faith that on the other side of painful decisions, there's love, okay? Give me a clarifier on all that I just said. Should we take it? No. Clarifier, please. Yeah. Yeah. You see, it's the Six of Pentacles, which again is about giving and receiving, being charitable, having enough within yourself, within your own heart, within your own mind, within your own abundance that could be practically and physically cultivated, to give to others and then get it in return. And I've been talking about this as far as what I think we did somewhat recently within the, you know, a shorter cycle of the bigger cycles that are taking place right now, kind of attempting to do things to, even if just a mental switch, activate the flow of abundance. So instead of looking at something and being like, oh, it's so awful, being like, at least I have this, silver lining type stuff. I'm thinking about that time that I got stuck on that plane when I was like held on the airplane for like hours and hours, and then I was in Paris overnight and I didn't plan to be, and everyone around me was like losing their shit, and I was like, guys, at least we didn't actually go flying and crash. We could have done that. I know this isn't great, but that's not the tone I took at all. Don't worry, I was pretty, you know, I wouldn't speak that way to strangers, but maybe I would, who knows. It's this shorter cycle of trying to look on the bright side, right? Trying to give a little bit more. When you do that, yeah, there's this releasing of ego. There's this prideful thing too, where it's like I'm seeing this stubborn guy, and he's like, well, I'm not going to be like generous or giving or nice to you because then you're going to think you're entitled to that of me. And like, I don't know, this strange dynamic around, it's a little curmudgeon-y. There's an aspect of ourselves that feels guarded and protected around like the fact that we might not have something to give, right? Or like this resistant energy around change, but the discomfort around that, like I think that there's been a few other peripheral energies that have shifted, allowing us to realize that whatever we're like up against or not liking, it's just the gentle like waves. I'm seeing waves crashing, and then I'm also seeing the police that have those bludgeoning things that they use to break down doors where they're like all holding it. The universe hasn't done that to us. It's done the waves. Like, sure, there's been tower energies, but more so, this also ties into how I'm talking about the voice of the intuition. Like, if you're having an experience of like, I don't hear anything, you say, quiet the mind, listen, I don't hear anything. It's because it's not going to sound the same as the ego. The ego would be the police with their bludgeoning thing. And then the intuition would be just like a soft breeze, you know, very, 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 very different languages, very different feelings, ways. This transition, I think, that's happened with us has to do with those vibes. And I'm going to pull up here the Hermit and the King of Pentacles, right? And then the incoming being like the King of Cups. This goes back to what I was talking about in my other video that I just recorded around like healed expressions of masculinity as well. So let's keep going. Again, the devil energy that came out as far as like current energies kind of having this introspective look at ourselves and how we're affected by things, like things that you do on autopilot, things that you do that aren't good for you. The reason why, and this also ties into what I was just saying earlier about like, it's not the body that ages, right? It's when the soul, the heart, the mind has held on to stuff and not let it go that it ages your body, because that's energy that you're sticking with, hanging on to, creating blocks and stuff. And so it is like, whew, yeah, I think the things in the wake of like big changes that were outside of our control, the things that we realized, the kind of frustration around a lot of that. There's been enough evidence of the fact that certain changes that we want to make, even if we haven't fully circumnavigated the way those changes look, you know, our commitment to them isn't 110% yet, or we're still really trying, but life is hard and changing behavior is hard. There's been enough evidence, however, in the physical world that they're worth it and those are the right changes for us. So be nice to yourself. You don't have to be perfect or like completely fixed in order to know that they're still moving in the right direction, right? And the changes that you're making, even if there's a little bit more of like pain that has to, you know, these things, they're flanking it. It's going to be okay. And there are some things that we have to release or change that you can also grieve, you know, without having it be a wrong thing to do, because we have victory here. It was in the current energy, okay? And this goes into what I've said in the past about like being comfortable and accomplished and feeling good about where you are, but aspiring to continue to weed the garden and plant new seeds at the same time. Both must happen at the same time. I talked about like my body and working out and how like I've come to a place where it's like I'm okay with looking different at different points in my life. However, do I like the fact that I tend to get into really good shape and then just be like, I did it, I'm so fit and fabulous, and then proceed to like indulge and kind of get like a little bit softer and squishier over the course of the following 6 months and then I have to start all over? I don't love that. I don't love that about myself. I could do it differently. I could put in a little bit more consistent work that isn't like all go, you know. It could be a little bit less feast and famine. However, I'm accepting that that's how my life is. I'm not justifying it, not saying it's good or bad. It's just how it is. I could do better, you know, I could be more consistent. So anyway, but I'm not mad at myself for not being that way yet. something to move forward to, you know? It's exciting that I'm realizing that, and I have the opportunity to dedicate to myself to a more realistic, like, exercise regimen that doesn't burn me out, that makes me abandon it for, you know, it's just kind of seasonal though. I tend to get in shape and then enjoy the summer and then do it again. Anyway, I'm going to clear all this out. And what I'm getting is that I'm going to do energy to embrace, energy to release, and then we're going to put everything back in and shuffle again. Energy to embrace. Don't force things right now, especially in this retrograde stuff picking up. If things aren't, I already said it, if things aren't going to plan, don't push them. If you don't know, if you're in a stalemate energy and you don't know what to choose and you don't know how to make a decision, embrace that. Maybe you don't know because you're not meant to know right now. That can be uncomfortable, but we need to be able to sit with not knowing things, not knowing how things are going to go. I'm seeing a group of people who are waiting in a hospital to get word on how a surgery is going. That can be really, really, really anxiety inducing and stressful and scary because it's unknown. Okay, but she's blindfolded because she's trusting the inner self, like the guidance that's going to come from within around. She'll know when it's time. She does have the power to kind of, you know, wield her swords, like choose this or that, go in a different direction, remove the blindfold, in fact, like get up, take action, but she's not doing that. And so there's something about, let's get a clarifier actually for energy to embrace being the Two of Swords before I move on to the release position. Yeah. It's that there's too many balls in the air right now being juggled, and you're busy. You're doing enough energetically right now than to have to make like any type of firm or fast decision. It's not the right time to do that. I don't think if we make big decisions right now, I don't think we'll be fully satisfied with what they yield for us because of what I said before, where like even micro decisions can lead you to a very different place over time, you know? So big decisions, of course, those are meant to be like put on the back burner until this cycle completes. And I mean, like, I think that we'll be in a really good position in about a week and a half, 2 weeks time to move forward and do positive, larger motions towards what we want. It's also going to be really fun is what I'm getting. And that's fabulous. Who doesn't love to have a good time? Not fun in like this manic, untethered way, but like what we've been looking for, which is stable and loving and collaborative and victorious. So that's awesome. That's really awesome. Yeah. All right. What about energy to release right now? What about energy to release right now? What do we need to just completely like let go of, not focus on? Feeling out in the cold like we don't have enough, like we're not good enough. Again, about enoughness. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, people. You're worthy of stuff, you know? If it's money, if it's love, if it's stability, I don't know what it is. Pretend it's love. Pretend it's love. If you want like love in your life, you become love. You don't lust after and yearn for love. You become love. You start loving yourself. You start loving the way the sky looks. You start loving the dog. You become love. Release feeling sorry for yourself. If you want abundance, you want money, you need more money. I mean, a lot of people do right now. It's, you know, it's not going great out there. I hope it is for you. We're all capable of, you know, money is a frequency, so you can call in more of it without having to work so damn hard. I'm not going to go there. Okay. If it is money, then you become abundant. And you might be like, well, I can't, so just, you know, become love. Or like when you say it for the money example, what do you mean? Just become rich? It's a state of mind. It's a feeling. It's a vibration. If you woke up and you had 6 different bank accounts and the balances, you just had, I don't know, millions of dollars in each one or thousands and thousands of dollars. Everybody's got a different benchmark for how much money is a lot of money, right? But you woke up, that was all covered. You know, you're set. You don't have to think about if the finances are in order. You would feel, act, behave, speak, do everything in a very different way than you would if you woke up and didn't know how you were gonna afford your food for that day. Speak, act, do, behave very differently in both scenarios. So when you're talking about becoming rich, becoming money without having it first, you have to feel it to let it start to come to you, right? But it's about putting yourself into the state of the first situation, scenario, where you would wake up and have that feeling. That feeling comes from knowing that things are taken care of. And you might want to start by being like, how would I feel? Articulating that for yourself and thinking about it, because sometimes we say we want things or we want certain things to change in our lives, but if that wish was granted instantaneously in that moment, maybe you wouldn't know what to do with yourself. You know what I mean? Prepare the space for blessings in your life to be there. Think about what it would actually mean to have your wishes and your heart's desires fulfilled. And start to do your part to be like ready for that. You know what I mean? Anyway, it's a releasing of lack mentality. What's the clarifier with the Five of Pentacles for energy to release? What's the clarifier? That one wanted to flip, but it didn't. Energy to release. Nope. That's too many, but check it out. Five of Pentacles, Five of Cups. Just what I said. You know, being without the cups, being without the love, being without the money. What else do we got here in the release position? This is a whole chunk of cards, but I will entertain the situation. Oh my goodness. Gah. All right. Because it was more, you know, I tend not to take it if they fall out in such a big chunk, but I'll just do a little speed through drive-by. What I think we need to, again, clarifying with the energy to embrace, Two of Swords and Seven of Cups, just not a good time to make a decision. Embrace a stalemate energy. Let divine timing play out, okay? We've already touched on that. But in the energy to, that was energy to embrace, right? Just kind of knowing that there's a lot of stuff changing right now. So we need to have patience with that and continue to have a positive dialogue with the self. Like the inner monologue must stay optimistic right now. I mean, it doesn't have to. You can do whatever you want, but I'm just recommending it because it's easy to get into these dejected states around not enoughness right now. So release all that, right? More than that, I'm seeing like... This is different than the Two of Wands. What am I? No, I'm sorry. This is energy to embrace. This is energy to release. Same, but different. Kind of like she's stuck, but she could cut herself free and she's choosing to wait. She doesn't know, right? This woman is in those self-imposed, unproductive prisons that are victim-oriented, you know? This woman with her legs crossed, that's not like classic damsel in distress. That's more of a meditative posture. This woman is more like, you know, body language inward, like maiden in distress. So the releasing is the self-sabotage or the excuses. What else? All the pain. Don't walk a dead dog. Don't give CPR to a dead body. Accept what hasn't worked out. And also don't ever undermine like how painful certain things are. When I get like tough lovey like that, I'm not saying like, you're just like, move on. I'm not trying to be like that. I'm just saying sometimes we're not willing to feel how painful things actually are. So it doesn't mean that they didn't happen. It just means that we never fully process said event. And then again, with like energy getting stuck in the body and whatnot. Okay. So again, in the release position, what I'm seeing is like, this is an interesting pairing here. Ace of Pentacles and the Eight of Pentacles. Yes, we do need to put in hard work right now, but in the release position, it's saying like this hard work, you can't just blindly work and have stability right now, because it's more about aligning mind, body, and spirit and having like sustainable, what I talked about before with the victory, the Six of Wands card, which I've buried, but the emotional stability and also the collaboration and the positive energy around those types of things. We are releasing like an outdated way of thinking about our own potential, which is so much more general than what I thought I was going to say when I opened my mouth right there. I mean, what I thought I was going to say was something around like work smarter, not harder. But it's about our own potential across all areas of our lives, not just work. Again, in the release position, the Tower energies, okay? And this has to do with understanding and integrating the lessons from the past 2 months. It's time to let them go. We're going to move on from all that. You've probably noticed this if you've watched any amount of my videos, like consecutively. Like I'll be all caught up in a theme for a little while and then it kind of trickles off. It peters off. It's because the energy's no longer there. I don't really have to talk about it anymore. And then some things persist and then some things come back around. Some things I'll never stop talking about. So what else we had was so that's that in the release position. But then we had the Magician and the King of Swords. I'll get a clarifier on these two, okay? So what are we releasing? Feeling like we're not enough in a self-pitying energy. What I'm getting off of these just like off the bat before I get a clarifier is that King of Swords is not the energy to manifest with right now. The Magician can create anything. He has the alchemical, elemental understanding of how this 3D physical world works, but he also has a spiritual understanding of how there is a connection to non-physical, the mind, the spirit, the heart, in a way that facilitates the physical experience. And in some ways, you have to attend to all those different domains in order to carefully craft what you do see in your life and kind of keep yourself in check and speak on things that you want to see more of. You know, don't amplify the bad, blah, blah, blah. King of Swords is kind of a, a logical guy, a guy who gets his evidence from his mind, and he can rely on that because his mind is sharp. But there's also the cold, detached, cutting thing. So don't manifest right now. You're always manifesting. Don't worry about it. You don't have to force or push certain things to go a certain way right now. Again, with being like, embrace this energy, right? He needs to take a little seat and have a little relax. Relax a little bit. Relax a little bit. And I know that's hard to say to people who are in crisis. I hope that you're not. I'll pray for you if you are, but like, it's hard for him to catch himself in midair and be like, this probably isn't that bad. I've said that before, I know. But that being said, there will always be a way to see a silver lining. I'm not saying that because I'm immature or naive or not in the know of the way of the world. I'm saying that because I know that it's true and I've always seen it to be true. There's always a way to see a silver lining, okay? Because when you're like, well, yeah, it really, really did hurt. Like if you, seeing a kid who fell off a bicycle and then the parent is like, are you okay? And like, yeah, there was a scrape, but then the kid cries for an extra, 6 days because he loves the attention, that type of thing. So this self-pitying wallow porn, really. Don't get too caught up in that because it's victim-y. And you're capable, Really, at the end of the day, it's because we don't think that we can break out of it. So releasing all of it, getting rid of it, releasing. What's really funny is that when I was in my kitchen earlier and I was making some coffee, I heard in my head this loud, clear message. I didn't share it in my other video because it didn't pertain to anything. I didn't know what to make of it. It was a message I heard. It's so weird how things like come and go so rapidly. Okay, it was, I don't do things this way because I don't get it. I do things this way because I do get it. And what was weird about that message is that I didn't know, like, I was like, does someone think that way about me? Do I feel that way about someone? It was 4. Yeah, I don't know. It's just coming up because of what I just said with those cards, but it's like, I don't take that approach around optimism out of a sense of naivety and being like, well, look on the bright side, it's okay, and like not really getting it. I take that approach because I do know how hard it can be, and I do get it. All right, we're shuffling everything back up. Emotional fulfillment. <clears throat> 45 minutes. Okay. All right. I'm going to shuffle, and then I'm going to get High Priestess. I'm going to get 3 cards off the top, and then I'm going to pull from the Psychic Tarot around those, and then I'm going to get 1 Empath's Oracle. No, I'll get a spirit animal. Okay. Yeah, I'll get a spirit animal. Oh, yeah, okay, so in the other video that I posted today, I was talking about my spirit guides, like these women, and talking about how I haven't heard them in a while, but I was also talking about how their energy and their voice is so integrated into my own thoughts that sometimes I don't hear them talking in the way of like the way that I do when they're in like old lady gossip mode, which is so funny. It doesn't mean that they're not there. They're always with me. I always hear them, but the way that they communicated to me yesterday that I have access to in a different like brainwave state, you know, and I'm just like listening to this like advice chamber of female wisdom. It's very cool. But I can't, to my knowledge right now, as of yet, put myself into that state of hearing their guidance. It just sometimes happens. Which is why yesterday I was thinking about that, and I was like, why is that? And so then I was like, I would like to know more about the connection that I have with these. And then I went on that whole thing, and I talked about it in the other video, but they're past life connections, they're spirit guides, they're ancestors. There's a few different things that have happened with me and these energies that make my relationship to them somewhat like ephemeric. I don't know what that means, so I'll have to look it up and see why I used that word that way, but that make it somewhat hard to grasp. Hang on. This goes back to what I was saying too, and now the issue with me recording 2 times today is that I don't know if it's the other video or this one, but it doesn't matter. My point is, maybe ephemeric's not even a word. How weird would that be? Ephemeral means lasting for a very short period of time. So I'm describing my connection with them: transitory, transient, fleeting, passing, short-lived, momentary. Like the presentations of the energy is like, it doesn't have to be one way. So it could be sister, it could be daughter, it could be past life, or it could be current life as spirit guide. I'm getting a phone call and it's important, so I have to go. 1 sec, I'll be back on. All right. I'm looking at the definition of ephemeral clearly, but I'm completely on to the next thing. So what I said I was going to do is pull 3 cards. There she is again. Look at that. High Priestess, High Priestess, High Priestess. What I get the sense is that a lot of people are, I don't want to like blow smoke up my butt, but I feel like a lot of people in the world right now would benefit from the types of things that I talk about and am saying, but they don't know who I am, you know? or they don't have someone in their life that can offer any type of real authentic spiritual guidance or information. And like it's not about me or what I do, because there are so many different people that offer so many different kinds of things, and that's all beautiful. I'm just saying, I think that humans right now, maybe they don't even know anything about, I don't know, anything about, maybe they haven't been exposed to anything around like quantum theory or the multiverse. Maybe it all comes from, you know, movies or weird things on the internet and stuff. And that's kind of what I fear. I really fear that a lot of people are getting kind of confused and taken in the run around circles and what's real and stuff. And by the way, the whole thing that I mentioned in my other video with the Barbie movie and them choosing to use the real name of the company that produces Barbies in the movie, I see it as this kind of continued push to dissociate and desensitize people to what's real and what's not. So there's that. Alrighty. 1, 2, 3, 4. Knight of Pentacles, death. And the Seven of Pentacles. All right, so this is really beautiful. Clarifier for the death card is going to be on the bottom of the deck. What is it? Page of Swords. So we're continuing to move forward slowly but surely. Slow and steady wins the race, as best we can without any self-judgment. Feeling a little exhausted from all of this work that we've put in, but knowing that we can keep going, you know, and that good things take time. We are closing out a very big cycle, and the clarifier for that card that I said would be found at the bottom of the deck is the Page of Swords. So again, infusing the endings that are taking place with like a lighter energy, something that does look to the future. Try not to get like super like restless or itchy around the things that are closing out, or around the things that are out of our control, or around the things that we need to do that we're procrastinating. You know, you can do it. Like be responsible. Be responsible, right? There's a need to balance like taking care of ourselves and being very loving to ourselves like we would with a child. You wouldn't be too harsh to a child. If a child was sick, you'd be like, well, just stay home. There's a need to balance our ability to kind of push forward and stay strong and dedicated, but also be tender with ourselves. Both can be true at the same time. And they must be right now. So the death card being about these big closeouts. Okay, all right, well, I dropped a bunch of cards on the floor, but I heard like, these are it. These are it. These are the cards. So I'm not going to do what I thought I was going to do, which is a whole shuffling thing. Let's see what we have here. We love to see it. Triumph. Stand your ground. Both sevens. 7, 7. Wow, I've never seen this card before. It says truth. 20. Truth. What is number 20? In the normal tarot? Is it the world? No, the world is 21. I'm going to read for this card. Triumph, stand your ground. Do you see here? Slow and steady, stand your ground. There's a parallel within that. Suffering in silence. Look how similar this imagery is. I know this is a 9 card, but look how close this imagery is to the 8 of Cups from my other tarot deck, with the man and the staff sitting, looking at the mountains, looking at the moon. This is bringing in sort of the same energy as talking about like suffering in silence. Be nice to yourself on this journey, basically. Yeah. takes a long time to go on different journeys to different places within ourselves. And you move one thing, like I mentioned in my other video, I sort of dredged up this memory about missing time, and I told the story very casually, but then it really kind of like started to process within me a little bit deeper, and it was like kind of triggering for me, because then I was thinking about it like in a way that I didn't. Things take time to process and resonate and shift and change. You can make some big decision, and then a lot of things will ripple out of that. What else do we have? Wisdom. It's the Hierophant. Light, the sun. And emotional withdrawal. Emotional withdrawal and suffering in silence. I'm going to read from the book really quickly on this one, the Truth card. Oh, I should have known. It's judgment. Judgment, number 20. Yes. The qualities of this card illustrate spiritual awakening, clarity, the revelation of truth, and cosmic consciousness. At times, it takes a wake-up call to get your attention and show how far you need to go. This card comes forth to do just that. Evaluation of the past, along with the lessons that you've learned or still need to understand, must now be a top priority. Doing so will enable you to forgive, accept, and heal so that you can move forward in a balanced spiritual mindset. The Truth card reminds you that a significant change must be made in a certain area of your life, but don't make any hasty decisions. Take your time. For any choices or alterations must be weighed and evaluated with the most careful and wisest of judgments. Whatever steps you take now will have far-reaching consequences, more than you'll ever know. Using the powers of the universe and blending them with a little help from the physical world will assist you in bringing about clarity and a shift of awareness. What was once not obvious will now be realized and understood. Be honest with yourself and trust what you know to be true. That's a really powerful, important message, and I like that it reimagines the Judgment card from my traditional tarot book. What I'm seeing is that there could be a little bit of what I still talked about around the rift between how we want things to go and how we expect them to be. I don't think it's so much around the timeliness of it, but it's almost like the things that are coming up during this transition may be slightly uncomfortable for us to endure, such that we're not really judging our pace necessarily, but we kind of wish things would speed up so that we can get to the good part or something, which is not a good attitude, because you got to start feeling like you're in the good part. Not like gaslighting yourself, right? But if we're suffering in silence and withdrawing emotionally and stuff, let yourself be in that energy so that it can run its course, because that will show you something. Assuming you're not going to completely shut down and engage in some type of self-soothing avoidant tactic around not wanting to feel and acknowledge certain things. That's just being harmful to yourself, if you were an organism, if you were a science experiment and your job was to process the emotions as a little organism, and you didn't do that and got all clogged up, it would be like a broken object, a system not functioning. You owe it to yourself to function, and you have to process emotions are part of life. They're part of our systems. They're part of our, experiences. So you need to process them. So I said I would get a clarifier card from my other deck for these two, and I will now. Oh, yeah. It's the Six of Cups. There's a lot of different ways to go with this interpretation, because it could be about your children if you have kids, or it could be about wanting to have children, or it could be about people from the past. like that you miss, or that you still know, you know, or like, but it doesn't have to be people that you're not in touch with. It could be people that you, here, we'll just get another clarifier. But in the way of advice, it could also speak to the need to kind of just get back in touch with the inner child, you know, and heal the inner child. I think this is more so the interpretation instead of trying to do any literal extension to any one person's specific scenario. I think it has more to do with like being able to realize that it's okay to feel feelings. Yeah, I mean, it's basic, but it's left over, you know, as a response from a lot of people from childhood, where it's like, you have to be strong. People don't like vulnerability and weakness. What is being truly weak, though? You know, one would ask yourself, like, well, what is an actual display of strength and what is an actual display of weakness? So just a need to kind of take it back, like I was just saying, take it back to the way that you would tend to yourself and talk to yourself like you would a child. Now, some people don't talk very nicely to children, so if that's the case, then you're out of luck. No, I'm kidding. Okay, but I'm also I'm hearing about like soul searching. Both their backs are turned, but they're looking in different ways. He's at the water, she's in the mountains. Soul searching, right? Coming back to the self or a sense of inner child. Okay, so what's a clarifier for that Six of Cups? I just asked for a clarifier on it and I'll get it now. Thank you. Yeah, I don't know. Pondering how our lives look, soul searching, pondering certain things about our lives, and wanting to be, wanting to let love and authentic emotion into our lives in a new way, which is beautiful. So that's all good and well. All right. I'm not really going to get into any of those other ones. I feel pretty good about this spread with these cards, the way that it went, and I don't want to go on for, you know, a million hours here. So I'm going to do animal spirits now. And what I'm hearing is that I would need to get 2. Wait, that's so weird. I heard 4, but my mouth said 2. What to do? I'll get 3. That was silly. Hey, boo-boo. Hi, handsome. Hey, love. Hey, love. Hey, it's you. It's my doggy. I love you. You're such a beautiful, beautiful little fuzzy wuzzy. He's such a little... I saw some members of my family this past weekend, and so I was thinking more about my family and stuff, spending time with them. But like my dad and his wife have 2 other grand dogs. So like my stepmom's 2 daughters have their own dogs now. And then, you know, I've got a dog. So my dad and his wife have 3 grand dogs. But somebody mentioned, I don't know how to retell this story because of all the different people involved. Basically, he was saying, well, we have the 2 dogs, referring to my stepsister's dogs. And I think somebody like my brother or somebody said like, well, what about Muttley? My dad was like, I mean, he's not really a dog. That doesn't really count. It's true. He isn't really a dog. He's a real boy. I'm not disillusioned. Come here, you. Come here. Come here. Let me scoop. Come right down in here. I'm gonna scoop you. I know. Just look at him. You might be like, should I just hide his little, his little private? It's like, because I just don't want you to have it in the video, but a person might say like, he doesn't look very happy with you. You shouldn't make him sit on your lap like that. But this is how we drive in the car. He chooses to come sit with me. Yeah, because we love each other. You're beautiful, Moosh. He's an emotional support animal for sure. He has been for a long time. I didn't go out to get this dog. This dog fell into my life. This dog came to me. And he's been one of my biggest blessings. And he's incredibly smart. And he helps me be patient and responsible. He's saved my life multiple times. He's just incredibly, just an amazing source of like connection to love. For me, unconditional love. Do you know you're the most handsome thing in the whole world? Do you know? You know. He knows. He knows. I love you. I love you. I know what you desire. We will. Soon. Oh, whatever. Sorry. No apologies. Okay. Aw. Cute. Mouse spirit, tend to the small things. Number 40. Scarab beetle spirit, number 52. Magic works through you. Ooh. Wow. Armadillo spirit, set healthy boundaries. I don't think I've pulled either mouse or armadillo before. Scarab for sure, but yeah, what I'm getting off of this with, you know, the retrograde energies setting in and what we've been talking about around not making any kind of like bigger moves right now, needing to just like be patient with yourself and the way things are going and process any of the changes that might be more difficult, and just, you know, working on distress tolerance and being able to be patient even if things aren't exactly as we'd like them to be. Still finding the silver linings within those transits. Mouse spirit is telling us to come back to that which is within our control to help us feel a little bit more like, you know, empowered, because when things feel like they're overwhelming and they're getting away from you, which we saw in the energy into embrace position with the other cards, as far as the 7 of Cups, like having different things in the air, not knowing what's real or not, be this overwhelm, this indecision, creating a smaller project or having a smaller project, like unloading the dishwasher, for example. Doing that, being able to check a box and said you know, say that you did it, that can just give us, you know, remind us of our own competency, and not like we're so down and out that we forget we're even capable of unloading the dishwasher, but it's all about the momentum of energy. And it's not about how we think about ourselves, it's about how we use ourselves to take up space and act in the world. So by doing and signing up for and completing small tasks, not to mention, don't overlook, you know, the importance of like tending to the little things in life and kind of doing those things. It can build up the momentum that we need, that we're going to want to have under our wings for when we move into the next phase of this cycle. Yeah, and I don't know why I just pulled the card off the top of the deck. Grasshopper spirit, take a leap of faith. Like, there will come a time where we're going to be happy that our ducks are in a row. So I'm also seeing mouse spirit as a need to get them ducks in that row. A need. Here we go with armadillo spirit. Learning to set healthy boundaries is the gift of armadillo spirit. You are entering a phase where, in order for you to be in alignment with your intentions and co-create your best life, you may have to be discerning and say no to many things that may have been okay for you in the past. This also means that you need to learn where you end and where others begin, what is yours to own and what is not. Yeah, immediately I'm thinking about how a lot of people live in a state of hypervigilance because we have trained ourselves to do emotional labor on behalf of other people. But an emotionally healthy adult doesn't expect anybody else to read their mind or, take a hint off of their hot and coldness, Evolved humans who are mature and emotionally mature, they are in touch with what they need and they're able to communicate that. For, not for better or for worse, always for better, but whether or not it's good or bad. It's incredibly hard for people to speak very honestly for fear of upsetting other people. I don't need to caretake you and your emotions over my truth. I'm never going to say anything to be intentionally harsh or mean. That's not who I am. That's not why I open my mouth to say things. It won't be. It's never going to be. But if something upsets somebody else, I can understand that maybe what I said was upsetting to them. It doesn't make me a bad person. Sometimes we will upset others with our truth. Like if I said, no, I can't come to the party and they're upset, Doesn't mean I have to bend over backwards and stuff. This is why I was talking about, I expressed a little frustration the other day after I was talking about feeling like I was, as a little girl, just people always being told to say thank you when people gave me compliments, that were heavily fixed around my appearance, from a young age. And then growing up to become a people pleaser who wants the people around me to be happy. And needing to kind of learn how to set boundaries again, come back to the self and know that I take care of my own emotions as an emotionally healthy adult. I respect the emotions of others, but it's okay to be upset by someone else. It's okay for someone else to make me upset. Obviously that's not the goal, but listen, it's life, it happens. It's okay for me to upset somebody else. This also ties into what I was saying the other day around my family and stuff and how I feel very lucky. I know there are people who see very differently from their family and there is estrangement and stuff. I'm very lucky that that's not the case. I spend a lot of time with my family. I love my family. But I'm the little black psychedelic sheep that doesn't really see things as, similarly as everybody else does. And it's not like some joke. It can create some very real problems and concern and whatever. But at the end of the day, we all still love each other. We just want each other to be happy and healthy. Scarab beetle spirit. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't read the caution message for armadillo. Don't need to is what I'm hearing. Okay. In ancient Egypt, the scarab beetle was revered. For the creative magic of scarab beetle reminds us that we can bring forth something extraordinary, seemingly out of thin air. Whenever you let your creativity flow through you, scarab beetle spirit reminds you that spirit has given you the gift of infinite potential. You have an ally as you fashion something new or repurpose the old, for spirit co-creates with you, channeling energy through you so that you feel replenished and vitalized. As you make magic with what is at hand, now is a time for great optimism, for you can accomplish anything you desire and your creative endeavors will come to fruition. Miracles, opportunities, abundance, and love will appear seemingly out of nowhere as you allow spirit to work through you and magically manifest what you need. Here's the protection message. Do you doubt your unique inner magic? Are you afraid that you have no originality or that creative juices don't flow through you? Perhaps you mistakenly believe you're not the creative manifesting type. Scarab beetle spirit's message is that creativity is a living force that comes to all of us from spirit, who wants every person on the planet to manifest magic and co-create the world anew. You are as capable of resilience and innovation as anyone else. If you do what you've always done, you're going to get what you've always got. So draw inspiration into your creative being and begin to playfully create something new and do it without any judgment. Creativity and magic are your legacy as an expression of the creator, so let them flow through you. This is interesting and it's bringing up so much stuff. It says, do it without any judgment, right? But the judgment card came out before. It was talking about needing to be more real with yourself and make decisions, but it's don't take it too seriously and fly free. And it just goes back to what I said before around the need to kind of do both, Be you not be the inner child, but you have an inner child. You do. Everyone does. No one's just born an adult. And no one, no one comes out unscathed of life. That's the whole point, right? We get a spiritual amnesia, and then we kind of find our way back. So, and everybody has their own damage, right, and stuff to resolve. So, the other thing I'm getting is that it's saying, like, maybe you're not thinking you're the creative manifesting type. Another thing that's falling off, a veneer that's falling off of the world right now, and I talked about, like, I just feel like there's a lot of people who would benefit from this information today, even though they may have no idea that that's what's happening, Unfortunately, I think there's a lot of people who have no context within their consciousness for any type of stuff to explain any kind of energetic transit, because they totally don't think that, nothing matters with astrology and all that's bogus and blah, blah, blah. But it would actually perfectly explain a lot of the shit that they're going through, or it could really help. I don't know. The veneer that I think is falling off is that there is a creative manifesting type, right? Like the stereotype that I embody of being like a little free-spirited hippie, right? It's not that I'm not that. It's that this stuff that I talk about, I see it as being very like, it's just part of life. It doesn't matter what you're there's so many ways to counteract what I'm saying right now. I'm just hearing all the criticisms that one could offer because I try to get in front of those and stuff, which is futile. But the veneer that's falling off is that it's less so like some stereotypical manifesting creative hippie little thing. It's more so these are like, more universal laws, basically, just certain things, or the idea that we, have these abilities that it's talking about in the card around like creation and really being able to do whatever you want. Here is Mouse Spirit's message. The humble mouse pays attention to the smallest details, and Mouse Spirit calls on you to notice the nuances and the fine print at this time. In your eagerness to meet your goals and pursue your dreams, it is easy to forget the importance of clear communication and tending to the little things, including people's subtle signs that they are unhappy, as well as the small voice inside of you that says, this doesn't feel right. Take your time to sniff out what you need to know. Is there some detail or nuance about how you engage others or operate in the world that is the key to your success, but you've too readily dismissed as nothing big or nothing special? Mouse Spirit reminds you that what seems small may be more important and powerful than you think, so look again. Do not underestimate yourself or your potential for co-creating something amazing when you pay attention to the details. For you are co-creating something amazing when you pay attention to the details. That's a typo, but I'll read it the right way. Are you too caught up in the details? Here's the protection message on the conversely. First of all, let me just say how it's interesting that I just said you don't have to worry if any. You don't have to try to read other people's minds. People need to be forthcoming about what's going on with them. Of course, we can, as empathic people, read into other people's body language and infer what's going on with them in ways that they are not even conscious of the fact that they're putting out. But should we? People's subtle signs that they are unhappy. I just find that interesting because it's kind of the opposite of what I said, but take it as you will. Here's the protection message. Are you too caught up in details, micromanaging others and stressing out because you want everything to be perfect? Are you procrastinating because you want every detail to be just right and losing track of time and your priorities? Mouse Spirit wants you to listen to your intuition that tells you to look to the detail that you fear you are overlooking. Mouse Spirit wants you to listen to your intuition that tells you that the detail you fear you are overlooking will only appear when you stop obsessing. This ties into the energy to embrace being Two of Swords and Seven of Cups. It's saying like that Seven of Cups character is overwhelmed, but they're also kind of obsessed with looking at all the options and trying to make a decision. So just go unload the dishwasher, like take a load off, just chill. The answer will only appear when you stop obsessing. Mouse Spirit will lead you to the nuances you need to notice and will diligently work to support you if you take a breath and trust that the guidance you will be provided. Small gestures carry great power right now, and maybe you need to take action toward discovering what is going on that you might not be seeing, or toward mending a relationship or a situation. Ask a question, do a little research, and listen for mouse spirit's quiet little squeak telling you, look here and attend to this detail. Yeah. Something that I kind of view as a childish trait, or I don't view it that way, but I think that other people view spontaneity as a little childish, right? Because children have a harder time with impulse control. A lot of adults aren't actually good at impulse control. They're just shut down to the point where they can't hear, the important impulses and inclinations. And then there are, of course, healthy adults who are good at impulse control and whatnot. But what I'm seeing is that right now with these little details, these things, and I can attest to this as somebody who's always inundated with spiritual psychic information, but it's been pretty intense recently. So, and in a good way, I'm in a great space. I've got a lot going on. I'm really emotional, but I always am. And I'm very happy right now. I'm peaceful. And I know a lot of good things are coming towards me. And I know a lot of good things are coming towards the people that are going to listen to this. So yay us. But I can attest to this because it happens to me a lot throughout the day. These little deviations in which you thought would happen. Like if I get a strong little message, or like I'm like, I want to go to the driving range. I want to go hit golf balls. I don't want to do this. Get up and walk away. I'm not talking about abandoning anything or anybody. I'm a responsible person for the most part. And, I do my very best, and I take accountability for times when I'm not. But I just want to put out a message around the fact that, like, if you're judging anything, if you're telling yourself that things have to be a certain way because you see it as naive or childish to just be like, maybe not, I'm going to go do this. Try to release that right now, because a lot of the small details that like are going to fall into place that help us see the way ahead a little bit more clearly, they might be these more impromptu things. It's saying like, we kind of have to clear our minds and stop obsessing over all of the shit that we have to deal with right now. And so in order to be able to have that calm, to let the right things kind of start to crop up, to even be able to notice when they're cropping up, it's going to take that willingness to listen to those nudges and those urges as they arise, So yeah, I mean, again, with the relationship of like, in order to have this magical, trust in the magic, scarab beetle, magical relationship with the universe, small energy, like meek and feeble, but detail-oriented, honest, true, observant. It sees things on the ground. It sees every last little like hair and speck of dust, in the corner. Take a look at those things. Maybe there's something that's been too close to your face. You haven't been able to see it, blah, blah, blah. Maybe there's something, that still does need to be cleared out. We're all individuals with very different situations here. But the other side of that, right? This detailed work and like also talking about creativity and potential. I think every single one of these cards mention the word potential. We are realizing our own potentials, which is fabulous. It's so good. It's so good. This one about setting boundaries, like it looks like a giraffe to me. By the way, I saw so many giraffes after I saw that big giraffe in that person's house. By the way, this is super weird. The person that called me when I had to stop the video was the man that lives in the giraffe house. He called me. So, doesn't it kind of look like a giraffe's face? I'm like, what does an armadillo look like? Have you ever seen that meme? I'll put it in here. It's like, tried to draw a chameleon from memory today. It's funny, you'll see, because I'll put it in. It just goes back to the whole like being appropriate with our boundary setting unapologetically. Not King of Swordsy, because that wasn't the energy to release, but just in the name of self-respect. In the name of self-respect. What's on the bottom of the deck? Number 7, Bee Spirit. Sweet results await. Okay. I need to attend to my doggy. He wants to go do something and I do too. It's been a long message. It's been a long time for me sitting up here talking and recording today. So another thing that I wanted to say is that because I've been having more spiritual downloads recently and I'm doing a little bit more of an integrative thing right now that's pretty personal, I think I'm going to step away from recording for about 5 days. So don't worry for me. I'm fine. Never been better. Just gonna spend some time with myself. What's interesting is that sometimes I post readings anyway, like you can kind of tell when I'm like, more grounded or more like in a place to give readings. And then there are some readings that I post where it's like, wow, maybe she should have stepped away that day and not done that reading. Part of what I'd like to work on is just knowing when I need to step away and not do a reading, and not do a reading that looks like I should have stepped away, but just stepping away. Again, with like the self-judgment, I wouldn't post anything that I don't think is useful, but I also just want to be transparent around the fact that I'm still like learning. I bother myself sometimes, but then I'm like, it's okay, I'm still learning. Yeah. I don't know if you'll be able to hear that, but if you were with me a few weeks ago and I was recording a reading and then there was like some ambient, like garbled female singing in the background. There's a lady who walks down my street and she'll put her headphones in, but she'll scream singing at the top of her lungs. And she's walking right now, screaming outside. So probably going to go on my own little walk here, but take care, sending out good energy. And I'll be back soon, probably in, 5 days.